This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. We have to talk about a brave man. His name was Jemel Roberson, and he was a hero. Early Sunday morning, November 11th, police in a South Chicago suburb got a call about a shooting at a local bar. Mass shootings have become an unacceptably sad reality of our daily national life. So imagine the relief the responding officers should have felt when they got to the scene and saw that the shooter had already been subdued. So here's what happened that night. By all accounts, a security officer kicked out a drunk jackass from the club, just doing his job to ensure the safety of all the customers. And a short time later, the same drunk rushed back into the bar while firing a gun that he was carrying. A mass shooting situation was taking place like the worst nightmares so many of us have played out in the back of our minds and feared we might one day experience. The maniac was firing live rounds into the crowd. And then almost as quickly as it began, the shooter was stopped by that same dutiful and vigilant security guard who had earlier identified him as a credible threat and removed him. Jemel Roberson, the security guard that night, took on the heroic act of stopping an active shooter. Jemel Roberson tackled this live shooter and pinned him to the ground, waiting for the police to come and make an arrest. Jemel Roberson saved everybody else's lives. Everybody else's, but not his own. Because nobody, aside from Jemel Roberson, and that includes the shooter, became a fatality that night. That is the tragic and disgusting truth. Jemel Roberson, a real-life hero, was the only fatality that night, and he died at the hands of the police who showed up to respond to the shooting. Yeah, we're here yet again. An innocent black man was gunned down by a white cop within seconds of that officer coming upon the scene and shooting bullets into the first black body he perceived as being dangerous. Apparently, his killing didn't happen free from warning, though. Witnesses say they were screaming to the white police officer, warning him that he had his weapon trained on Jemel Roberson, that he was not the threat, that he was the good guy. In fact, witnesses say that Jemel was uniformed, wearing a hat and a vest, identifying him as security. That Jemel had the shooter pinned to the ground with his knee in his back and his legal, licensed firearm aimed on him, telling the shooter not to move until the police arrived. Jemel's actions were the makings of an NRA meme that you'd see online. A good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. But where's the NRA about this story? Where are their clown squad of mouthy representatives sounding off about this injustice? Outraged at the life of a legal gun owner being snuffed out by armed agents of an overreaching and too powerful government. Yeah, they are nowhere to be found. What other reason would there be for the crickets to be chirping in the distance and the tumbleweeds to be slowly rolling on by? It seems to me that a group that literally claims to be the nation's oldest civil rights organization would have something to say on the matter. I wonder if it's because Jemel Roberson was black and they don't want to rock the boat filled with their slack-jaw MAGA American members. Jemel Roberson's behavior was so extraordinary under the circumstances that Daniel Delaney, the police chief who first callously described him as a subject with a gun and is currently protecting the white cop's name while the investigation is going on, had to admit that Jemel was a, quote, brave man doing his best to end an active shooter situation, unquote. But then, as if to almost rub salt into the wounds of Jemel's family, he decided to add that, quote, we view this as the equivalent of a blue-on-blue friendly fire incident, unquote. A blue-on-blue friendly fire incident, huh? Well then, when will the outpouring of support for his family from his fellow brothers in blue begin? When is his pageantry-filled funeral, replete with bagpipes and an array of uniformed officers to lay him to rest? Save your pathetic and empty, meaningless platitudes, Daniel Delaney. The real way you can demonstrate your grief and regret that your white cop killed a hero who stopped a mass shooting is by conducting the subsequent investigation with transparency and accountability. But of course, we're only a few days into this and the investigation is already springing leaks. And we're now told to believe that the cop who gunned down Jemel Roberson gave him multiple verbal commands to drop the gun. Are you serious? We don't even have the name of the killer cop yet, but already he's being supplied with mitigating circumstances. I have a very hard time believing this. And you should too. If the investigation is coming to a close quickly, then release the name of the officer and release the video and the audio from the body camera. It is important to know the name of the officer involved in a killing like this as soon as it happens. It's important so we can start putting together the pieces of the puzzle for ourselves. What sort of an ostensibly highly trained man sees black skin and is instinctively stressed to the point that he pulls the trigger, killing an innocent citizen? Who is this person, actually? We need to know before police unions move into action scrubbing the officer's social media profiles, or before possible prior reports of violence and racial bias are obscured from public view. The public has a right to know the officer's true reputation, this public employee's true reputation. If this was truly just another accident, like hundreds of accidents before it, then what do you have to hide? Release the name of Jemel Roberson's killer. Share this video and please find the link to the GoFundMe page below, which has been set up in his honor to help the family cope with this unspeakable tragedy. Again, his name was Jemel Roberson, and he was a hero.